So guys, just got home. This is bullshit. Got defected today. Could not believe it. Cops, but and shit like that. I'm just so pissed off. Hashtag free my boys. Hashtag FTP. You guys all know what I'm talking about. By the way guys, there is no disrespect to anyone in law enforcement whatsoever. I appreciate everything that you guys do. Apart from the people in Perth, I didn't like you guys. But everyone else, you guys have seemed to be absolutely awesome. So yeah, today, after 2 years of owning the R33, the STD33, basically driving around this thing as a daily driver, we finally got our first defect in the 33. Now I will admit, the car wasn't exactly the cleanest thing in the world. We've been driving it in the rain and I haven't really washed it any time lately. It's looking like a bit of a pig. And so today we got picked up by the police. Now, during the time I got picked up, I'm like, oh damn, do I film it? Do I not? I don't know. But we didn't film it. I wanted to be nice and respectful to the lady that pulled me over. She was super nice, absolutely lovely person. And so she came up, pulled behind me just before some roadworks, and pretty much I freaked out because this car just sort of came out of nowhere. I'm like, oh crap, I just quickly got out of the way, tried to squeeze in between some traffic, and yeah, sure enough, the reason I didn't see it or hear it was because she was directly behind me the entire time, following me for a couple of Ks in an unmarked car. So I'm like, oh damn it, that sucks. Pulled over. Originally I thought, damn it, I've just entered a bloody 40 zone for roadworks. I wonder if it was that. Surely enough, I wasn't doing the wrong thing. I just passed the wrong car at the wrong time, which means that she had to pull me over. She was just doing her job. So that's no bad blood there whatsoever. So anyway, stupid me has left the license in the FD, because when I go to car meets, I always expect that sort of thing to happen at car meet. So I moved everything out of the STD33 into the FD. So this had all my licenses, basically all my paperwork, and yeah, so I had to give that all to her. Thankfully I'm not on my P's, so I didn't get a point for that as well, otherwise that would have been another thing. So luckily enough, I'm on my opens, thank God. And immediately she came up to the door, she asked me how my day was going and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, pretty good. She's like, all right, now, your horn. I'm like, okay, what about my horn? Yes, I know. So yes, she told me that the horn in the car, well, she kind of just asked where it was, and I said, look, I've never had one. She's like, how long have you owned the car? I've said, around about 2 years or so. I've never heard of one of this thing. So she's like, okay, I can appreciate your honesty. No worries at all. She told me to step out the car, and I'm like, okay, great. This is gonna go a whole lot worse. There's gonna be a whole lot more stuff she's gonna do to it. There's a whole lot of things that she could probably pick up on the car, and I'm just like, I'm just trying to be as nice as possible. You know, I'm definitely not the type of person to start anything or do anything with law enforcement, because at the end of the day, if you're driving around the stuff that you're driving around and you know what the go is, even though it is a little bit petty and a little bit stupid, some of the things that they can get you for, they can still get you for it. So at the end of the day, you just gotta sort of cop it on the chin, and it's all good to go. She then got out her little 10cm wheel. She asked me if I knew how low you could go, and I said around about 100 mil. She was like, yep, that's right on the money. Realistically, I know for a fact that the sides and basically everything on this car is 100 mil off the ground. The only point that it is the exhaust flange at the back. So I'll quickly show you guys what I mean. So I know for a fact that the whole car is 100 mil all the way around, apart from the center of the exhaust down the very bottom there. I know it's about 60 centimeters off the ground, but you can see that the exhaust on this car hangs pretty low. So I was hoping that, you know, maybe if they do pull me over in the future, that they might be a little bit lenient and just say, and I could just say that, you know, I put the exhaust on, I wasn't expecting it to be that low, and I'm gonna change it up soon. But then I kind of didn't want to say anything about the exhaust because it is a little bit loud and a little bit obnoxious. So yes, anyway, she double checked with her wheel, and yeah, surely enough, wound it under the back and ding from the exhaust. So I'm just like, that's not a pass, is it? And she's like, no, it's not. So anyway, we got to chatting a little bit, and sure enough, she had a few nice cars as well. She had a couple of old Falcons and stuff like that. And so I said, oh yeah, I got a few cars too, but I didn't really want to wrap myself out at the same time. She's like, oh, okay, so if you're not driving this, then what else do you have? And I'm like, well, I'll be honest, if I'm not driving this to work tomorrow, I'll be driving my FD RX-7. And she's like, so that's your second car? I'm like, yes. And then I think after that, she started to like me, and she got a little bit more lenient. So there was a few other little things about the car. So she asked me about mod plating for the seats. I said I don't have a mod plate for the seats. I know that they're non-genuine brides, so I know the fact that they're ADR approved and they run on stock rails. And so she was okay with that. She said that if it was a different person, they might be, might go a little bit more in depth with it, but at the moment that's completely fine. She also asked me about my wheel, the fact that I don't have a stock wheel, I have a racing wheel in there. With this car here, because it doesn't have the airbag on the passenger side, I basically explained that originally these cars, the Series 1s, don't have airbags on the wheel. So as far as I was aware, I could sort of put any wheel on there. And she said it doesn't really have a soft cover or anything there. We're not going to do anything about it. I will find a stock wheel to put back on it though. So that way, if I'm not driving it to and from the track, I can just have a nice stock wheel in there. And then she kind of went, okay, well, your car being that low, you're kind of destroying it. I'm like, look, I'll be honest, the roadworks that's sitting up there, because she patrols up there every now and then. And I said, kind of like the bumps over here. She's like, yes. I'm just like, well, I can't be in the left-hand lane because the bumps are too big. And she just shook her head. So yeah, kind of just sat there and just chatting about random things for about 20 minutes or so. Once again, she was super, super nice. And then she was telling me about how some people that she's pulled over, some low cars, when you actually cross or go over speed bumps and you go over sideways, they actually give you a bigger fine than being low for that sort of thing, because you're actually crossing over into the other lane of traffic with no obstruction. So not only are you just giving yourselves away for being low, you're also obstructing traffic on the other side. So yeah, just be very, that's another little tip she told me. She's like, if you're ever in front of a police officer and you do that, they will fine you for more than just being low if they pull you over. So just go directly over it, cop the scrape on the chin. So yeah. So yes, as I said, she was being super, super nice. We went around basically the entire car. She didn't look into the engine bay where there probably was a pot filter and stuff like that. I probably could have covered up and mounted a little bit better. But at the end of the day, she only got me for too low and a horn. It's going to be $266 worth of fines and 1 point, which is not as bad as I originally thought. I've never accumulated any points. I'm still on 0, well, 12 if you go, yeah, well, you guys know what I mean. So now I've accumulated 1 point. A $266 fine is completely fine with me. For the amount of time that I've run with this car, the way that I've loved it, is completely fine for me. So now we're going to change the Stancy Boy R33. I'm going to lift it up for a little bit. We're going to make this thing a little bit more tame. So I have tomorrow off work. We're going to do a little bit of work to the car. We're going to raise it up, clear the defects. Best thing is we don't have to go to the police station or anything. So I literally just have to raise it, put a horn in it. And sure enough, I'm pretty sure I found a horn that originally came with the car. I just never put it in. So I actually have a horn sitting here ready to go. So it's going to be really easy to put one in the car. So we're going to wire that in tomorrow. We're going to put a horn in, and then we're also going to raise the car. We've cleared all the defects, and then we're also going to try and find a nice exhaust, something that's a little bit quieter, so that we can get around a little bit nicer. Oh no, here comes trouble. Here comes the boss man. Oh, what's she got to say? I did tell her. Why does she have to park so close to my car? Look how much room she has over here. Oh God. Hello, lovely. Why the long face?
Disappointed, Zach.
Disappointed?
I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Wow, okay, Dad. Rightio guys, what's up? Budget Tommy Effia here at the moment, and today we are going to be fixing up a few little things on the R33 Skyline, and this is actually kind of fun. I'm probably going to raise it in tomorrow's video so you guys will all see that and how that's all going to look, but today we're going to do something real quick. I'm going to fix the horn on this thing, something that I should have done a long time ago. So anyway, if you guys can see, I have the entire sort of setup off for the wheel. It's all sitting down there, and I've always this car was missing a clock spring, which would have made this whole thing so much easier. Because it's a Series 1.5 and the high cats and everything else, it sort of, everything's kind of had to go properly and it just didn't work, and I don't know. So anyway, without using any forums or anything, I had to individually test all of these wires around the around the thing. So that's the stalk there, that's another stalk down there. We also have this, which usually goes to the clock spring, which that one there is actually the one you want to be using. This one here, I believe, is for high cast. So because we've locked out the high cast, we don't really need any of that. And because we don't have the clock spring, which usually it's just like a little green or white wire that comes off the clock spring, it's one of these wires here. So I tested the orange and it is a 12 volt. So now what we're going to be doing is, for the first time in 4 years, praying to God that these horns actually are going to work. I'm pretty optimistic. I'm really hoping this just goes smoothly because everything on this car has been such a drama. So fingers crossed. When I connect this orange wire right here, which I found is a constant 12, to this in the center of the wheel, we should be able to hear the horn. This will be the first time in probably like 5 or 6 years that this horn has ever been heard. So fingers crossed it actually works. Okay, that's probably pretty good at camera. Okay, cool, excellent. So I have this little makeshift piece of wire right here, and we're basically gonna be, so the horn just runs off a circuit. So basically, if I connect the orange right here, let's put the little wire in there. Not the nicest work I've ever done. And then we touch this other end to the ground, which will be the steering column. Can you guys hear that? God damn. I don't think the horns are too healthy. Poor thing. Well, at least we know that this orange wire right here is our horn. So now what we can do is we can basically make a long wire that's going to sort of coil up in here. I'm probably going to wrap it around the wheel a few times so that way when I turn the wheel it doesn't catch and break the actual, break the cable. So I don't know how I'm going to work that out, but yeah, we're basically going to strip back all this shielding right here, splice in to the orange wire, and then I actually have a horn button which I found that came with the car. It's just a quick little SAS horn button, and I should be able to sort of retrofit it into the horn right here. I do think I actually have a thing right there so I can sit in, because it's kind of just going to wobble around and do stuff in there. Like, it's still going to work, but it's just going to look weird. So either I glue it or I do something just to make it sit in there nice and comfortably. But it doesn't look too bad. It's actually going to be nice to have a proper horn in there. So I'm just going to make a little tiny wire that's going to have a little spade connector going off one of them. And fingers crossed this doesn't go around and touch that and do weird things, because that's not pressed in there properly. So yeah, basically splice in the orange wire there, go straight to this. And then we're going to have one of these, and that will connect, which is a little tiny hole with a little thread in it. And I'm just going to have a little wire connecting the horn to that right there. And hopefully I can find my little surround right here so I can put the horn in that. That'll hold everything nice and stable, sort of like that. So fingers crossed, everything just goes to plan. I'm going to go try and find some parts and grab some wires and some spade connectors, and we're going to make this crap work. I'm actually so keen to have a horn. Right, so first step, we've made a ground for the horn button now. So the ground is basically going to go from any one of those two connectors and go onto the actual face of the hub. So now the next thing is going to be the more fun bit, which is going to be connecting a wire to the orange wire here. But the only thing is, with the actual wheel itself, if you connect it to that wire there and then obviously go lock to lock, you're going to end up breaking that cable that's in behind the wheel. So I'm trying to find a way to do that. Ideally, I would just get like an NRG quick release hub or something along those lines, but then quick releases are illegal, so it doesn't really make any sense. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to create like a coil, in a way, of wire, and just have it really loose around this wheel. So I don't know if you guys kind of get me. So we're going to have basically the wire connected up here. We're going to have this out the way so that way it doesn't do anything crazy, and have a wire that comes in below the things right there, and just have it really loose. So that way I can actually turn my wheel, it would kind of unravel itself, and then when I turn the other way it would kind of wind itself in. So that way we shouldn't be breaking any cable in behind that. So yeah, fingers crossed this all works. I'm going to quickly strip all that back, probably until about here or so, and connect the wire in here. And then probably have a really thick gauge wire, so we have all this sort of sitting here. But yes, connect all that, wind it up, and then we'll be able to pass it through this smaller hole right here, put a spade connector on it, and we should have a working horn button. Hell to the yeah. Okay, so we have both wires connected, and we also have a horn here as well. So I haven't put a spade connector on this just yet because I'm sort of working out just how much I want to have slack in the wires just up here. But as it turns out, I'll quickly turn the car on so you guys can kind of see what I mean. But alrighty. So yes, I will clean up those wires around the back there, and they will be covered up by most likely the big piece of plastic that sits around it. But now I can basically go all the way around, and that will coil up the wires there. And then if I go the other way around, it'll slack off the wires around there as well. So that way I don't snap any of the wires around the back there. And yeah, that way I can still keep going lock to lock and keep going around U-turns and everything else as well. And I won't have the issue of snapping the wire around the back here. I think in the future I probably will upgrade to an NRG quick release, because that way I can sort of just have to an NRG boss kit, so that way I can at least still turn the wheel and do stuff without having to worry about the massive big thing of wires around the back there. But at least this will be able to get me out of trouble for a little bit, so happy with that. And so after 2 years of owning this car, we now have a working horn. Hell yeah. So now we're just got to find a way to nicely mount that inside the wheel there, so that way we don't have any issues. But yeah, I'm stoked. Hell yeah. That was a lot quicker than I thought. Cool. And so just like that, guys, the horn is actually stuck in there pretty well. There's like a little spring that sort of sits out that way, and then this way it's just kind of like holding on the whatchamacallit, the wires, and like this thing ain't moving anywhere. We have a horn. So let's quickly bring her inside. We'll get her all raised up, ready to go. But first of all, I'm gonna have to quickly measure and see exactly how low we are. I think I might even be able to get away, depending on how low the rear is compared to the front. I might even see if I can just get away with raising the rear of the car, but we'll see how we go. Oh my god, it sounds so cool. It's picking up all of its things. It's getting there. It'll work itself out. A few people will cut us off, and yeah, it kind of sounds like the compliment horn. I used to have a horn back on my my FG, back when I first had my FG, and one of the horns wasn't working, the lower one, so the high one was going around. I was like, beep beep. It's like, I don't know, I kind of feel like you could tell people they were doing a great job driving just by going, yeah, well done, you stopped at a stoplight, well done. I don't know, it kind of sounds like that, but I don't know, it'll pick up, it'll start firing in all cylinders soon, I'm sure. That's kind of funny, I love it. Alrighty, so the next part of the challenge is going to be to raise the car. So I found this box that I had lying around, and that's exactly 100mm on a set of calipers right there. So as you guys can see, it is actually a little bit taller in the middle, so that's exactly what we want. But yeah, the box itself is basically, as you guys can see right there, is 10 centimeters. So we are going to now be seeing if that box fits under basically most of the car. I'm also going to use that box to check whether the RX-7 is legal as well, because I want the RX-7 to also be legal height. I'm not really too stressed about how low the RX-7 goes because I don't want it scrubbing anyway, so I'm not too stressed. So yes, this I know will fit under the sides of the R33, no worries at all. Whether it will fit under the back, we already know it won't. So let's have a quick look. Alright, so as you guys can see, the box fits, no worries, underneath the full side of the car. Fits, you can chuck it all the way down there. It won't touch at all. I already knew that. Same under the front bumper. You guys can see the box fits, no worries. Now, this is where we had our issue yesterday. So if we have a look underneath, that is exactly where we had our issue. So, looks like, I don't know how much we're going to need to raise it. I'm going to see if I can get my calipers up under there and see if we can measure just how low that is. Actually, I might have a plank of wood that might be perfect for that. So this piece of wood right here is 7 centimeters. I'm fairly sure, or something along those lines, but I'm pretty sure this should work. Slide right underneath there. We'll find out in 2 seconds. Oh no. Oh yeah, that doesn't fit either. Yeah, okay. So, like, if we had an exhaust that tucked up nicely, it might actually be good, but we don't. So, looks as though it's probably about, I don't know, 1.5 centimeters on that. So, yeah, I'll see if I can get some calipers under there and see if we can measure exactly how deep that is. Alright guys, so we have another box, and this one here is 6.7 centimeters off the ground. And if you can see, there's about a 3mm gap, and that's probably the least. So we have probably about 7 centimeters off the ground or so for that rear section of the exhaust. So it looks as though we're going to be, oh my god, that is the wrong way to zoom. So it looks as though that we're going to have to raise the car up around about 3 to 4 centimeters. I'm probably going to do 4 centimeters to be safe. This is gonna look so horrible. Oh well, we gotta be legal. Rip, nice stancy boy fitment. Big sad. Big sad.